Hello everyone, today I'll be showing you how to wash off your art supplies. So I just did some art and I had a lot of fun doing it, but the worst part of art is having to clean off your supplies. There are many different ways to do this, but the easier it is, the quicker you get it over with. Before I start, I would like to tell you to hit that subscribe button and click the notification bell so you can see the rest of my videos and see what I'm up to next. Also, go to the discussion on my channel homepage and put in any suggestions for what you think we should do next. Another thing you should know is this weekend I will be doing an MLK special, for MLK Day. And now, without further ado, let's get started with cleaning. This is my paintbrush that I just used. In case you can't tell, it has watercolor paints all over. It may look like the regular color, but it was like really dark purple watercolor. So we are about to wash that off right now. The first thing you want to do is look at it and brush it against your finger. This will tell you how much paint there is. In this case, there's more water than paint in my brush right now, so this should be really easy. A common mistake most people make is when they're washing it, they press down really hard and everything and try to scrub everything out. That will ruin your paintbrush. There's actually glue that makes it all come to a point. So you do not want to do that unless you want a ruined paintbrush that you probably won't use ever again. Next, we're just going to put some water, we're going to put a little bit of water on here and then take it out. Now, I know you're probably thinking, well, why didn't you wash it? That's a big waste of time. But this is actually how you do it. If you don't get the water in there, the paint tends to cling to all the little quote-unquote follicles on your brush. So what you do is you get a little water to loosen it up, and then you get some soap. I don't know if you can see the soap, but here's the soap. You don't need to put a lot of soap, just a little bit, because this paintbrush is really tiny. Now, when you get your soap, a lot of people start scrubbing like this and everything. You do not want to do that. That will just make your paintbrush ruined. At first, you want to go from the outside in. So then you'll start brushing it like this, but ever so gently. It may look like I'm pressing really hard. This is what it looks like if I'm pressing really hard. And then the tip gets all messed up. What you're trying to do is just gently push, not very hard, but gently push, and if you need to, you can always get more soap. And just gently push to make sure you're working the soap all the way through the brush. Now, it doesn't take much to get watercolor off, because watercolor is super easy and is always washable. While I'm doing this, you guys can do this at home. I apologize for my really messy bathroom. I still need to clean that, so if you think this bathroom is really messy, I'm really sorry. Another thing you may want to know, you want to do it in a sink that you can wash it out easily. So if you're using like your mom or dad's fancy bathroom sink, don't do that because they will probably get really mad at you. You don't want to take any chances of having any troubles with the paint staying in the sink. As soon as you're done washing your paintbrush, you'll want to clean all this paint out of the sink just to make sure there's no permanent stains. As you can see, my paintbrush is now a lot more tan, not so dark purple, and that is a really good sign. This is how everyone should wash their paintbrushes. Just so you know, this is watercolor, not acrylic paint. Acrylic paint is a different procedure, and it's a little more difficult. This is watercolor, and it's very easy to get out of the paintbrush. Once you're done with the scrubbing stage, which shouldn't take too long, all you have to do is put the water on and do the same thing while it's under the water, but don't run the water too long, for this could end up being very expensive in your water bill. How you know that your paintbrush is done is that it will be back to the color it was, or at least closer. Keep in mind that your paintbrush will be a little darker than how it was originally because of the fact that it is still wet. But it should be closer to the original color. After this, you don't want to dry off your paintbrush, as this could cause the paintbrush to lose its point. You want to get a rag or towel or paper towel, set it on the towel. Now before I put this on my towel to dry, I'd like to show you that this is what this paintbrush looks like. Now I have several sets of the same paintbrushes, so I'm going to show you what it should look like compared to what it should and should not. This paintbrush is the one I just showed you how to wash, versus this one, which is already washed and dried, but I did not do it properly. I made a mistake. You can see the difference between those two. Now look at this paintbrush versus this paintbrush. This paintbrush is completely unused, but is the same type. So now you can see the color similarities versus if you do it correctly and do not. It's very easy to tell if you do it correctly or not, so it shouldn't be very difficult to mess up. Now what you do is you just gently, not very hard, but gently put it along your towel or mat. Now as you can see, I am using this rag that is very dirty with paint. None of the paint is wet, so it's fine. If any of this paint were to be wet, then I would not be able to use this. But since this paint is all dry, it's completely fine that I'm using this. I wouldn't recommend using any other cloth. I would recommend using a paper towel or, like me, a rag that you always use for your art. If you use a cloth or a wash rag that you use for your body, it will probably end up getting dirty and you will have it gone to waste. When you're done washing and rinsing, your paintbrush won't be all the way done. It'll still have that tip, but it'll look a little weird. Just set it down and let it dry. The next time you're ready to use it, all you have to do is massage the bristles a little bit so that it's not completely, stiff. Now, to show you what that looks like, I'm going to use this paintbrush that I pre-washed and is dry, but I have not dried it off yet. So as you can see, it looks the same as the brush that we showed you that has this color that hasn't been used. That's how you know you did it correctly. Now these bristles are a bit stiff, as you can see, so all you want to do is massage the bristles a little bit to get the brush back into motion. Once the brush is back to normal, you can go on and do your next best thing. Now I'm going to show you how to wash out an art palette. As you can see, this palette is super dirty, and as you can also tell, I use it a lot, like a lot. Some of these spaces are with acrylic, and some of these places are with watercolor. I will start with the little holes that have watercolor in them, just so that we know the difference. The first thing you're going to do is get the soap and put a little bit of soap in each little spot. Oh wait, whoops, wrong hole. Now I'm only doing the holes that have watercolor, which is this one, this one, this one, this one, and that one. I'll put soap in all of these and then continue on to the next step. As you can see, I've put soap in all the holes that I told you. It doesn't matter what soap you use, just make sure it isn't any soap that, irritates the skin. Because then it'll be hard for you to wash it since you have to touch it. Wearing gloves in this process is completely fine. But if you want to get your hands a little dirty, all you have to do is put your finger in the hole that you are washing out and put it around and around. If you keep doing this, then eventually all the paint will come off in that area and you will be good to wash the soap out. Sorry if you hear any background noise, that's just the TV outside, and I'm sorry if there's any static noises. I don't know why that is. Now if you're washing and there's still some colored soap on the sides, that's completely fine. When you put the water in there to rinse it out, all will be well and you can continue. Now once you're done doing all the rinsing, you're just going to simply take the water and wash it out. So make sure to still scrub while the water is running through. It's okay if it makes that noise if you're using a plastic palette. That's just showing that it's really dry. Once you are done washing, make sure to get a rag, cloth, or paper towel to dry it out. If you're getting a washcloth that you use for your body, that is not a good idea, as it could have a little bit of paint stains and you won't want to use it ever again. And as you can see, my holes are really clean. Maybe the rims aren't, but we're going to do that here in a second. But you can see that the holes are really clean, and now I'm ready to move on to how to wash the acrylic paint off of your palette. As many of you know, acrylic paint is a very fast drying paint. So when the time comes to wash off your palette, chances are your acrylic paint is going to be dried on. We're going to do pretty much the same thing we did for the watercolor, but this will take a little more effort given that the acrylic paint is dried on and the watercolor deactivates whenever it touches water. If you need to get a penny or any type of coin to wash this off, that's completely fine as well, as this can be difficult and sometimes you need to scratch it off. I'd like you all to know that my palette is made of plastic, so it won't damage my penny, nickel, dime, or whatever coin I use at all. Make sure to get the surface too. With your hands, it might be a little more difficult, but if you use a penny, nickel, dime, or any coin, it will come off easy as pie. A few things you need to know about acrylic paint is that it will not come out of clothes if it is wet. It is specifically made for fabric. Make sure to be extra careful when you're doing anything with acrylic paint, because it could ruin your favorite shirt, dress, or maybe even your sheets. Anytime you're doing art, whether it's with marker or paint or even a pencil, make sure not to touch your clothes or anything else because it could ruin it. I'll keep doing this while you guys do it at home. When you're done getting all your acrylic paint off, just wash it, and while the water's running over it, be sure to still be scrubbing it with that coin or your finger. The squeaking is normal if you have a plastic palette like me. It's just letting you know that it is completely clean. It is very normal that not all of your paint will come off of your palette, but as long as the inside holes are clean, that's all that matters. And you can always get more soap if you need it. Now we're going to dry. As you can see, my palette is not completely clean, but as long as the bottom of each circle is clean, that's all that matters. You can put new colors in without worrying about mixing or ruining your paint. Thank you so much for watching this video. Before we go, always make sure to clean out your sink before you leave. Otherwise, you could have permanent stains in your sink, and that won't go down well at all. If they are thin watercolor stains like these ones I'm washing off now, it's okay for them to run down the sink. Please take note that not all of these stains in here are from watercolor. Other stains are from mouthwash or other things that you might put in the sink. Make sure to wash it all down so that it doesn't get caught along the drain. And there you have it. Get as new. Never looks like you ever cleaned it. Thank you for watching. Until next time, bye!